Destiny McClain was a daughter and a sister, a young woman navigating her way through the world. But in July of 2021, her life was ripped away in one single moment, ordering a quesadilla from a food truck, a drive-by shooting in the middle of the night, and no one has been brought to justice. Her case is one of so many unsolved murders in Phoenix. Now her mother is advocating for victims across the valley. I'm Justin Lum, and we are on the record. It has been 4 years, just approaching the 4-year mark, since Destiny McClain was shot and killed while simply ordering some food after a night out with a friend. This is a case that I've covered many times, and I've gotten to know this special woman here, Brenda Miller, the mother of Destiny McClain. She's here to advocate for her daughter, but I think what strikes me and what I'm proud of for you and proud of you is that you advocate for many victims now across the valley, and you have really taken this, what is the most negative energy, losing your child, into turning it into something positive and to seek justice at the same time and hold who needs to be held accountable. That is the goal. But you haven't, at least from what I've seen, lashed out or resented anyone else. You've turned this energy into something purposeful. So I appreciate that.
Well, thank you. And just to kind of piggyback off of that, I've actually began my courses last week to become a credential victims advocate.
Yeah.
So that I can do it on a professional level rather than just on the personal level that I've been doing it on.
Yeah. And I think that just speaks volumes. But the focus today now is this has been nearly 4 years. July 18th, 2021 was that day. Let's talk about Destiny and who she was, just for people who don't know. Destiny McClain.
Destiny was she was a breath of fresh air. She was a ray of sunshine, the most positive person that I've ever encountered, and I've never met anybody like her. I'm honored that I had the opportunity to be her mother, but I really can't describe her outside of just stating like she was like rainbows and sunshine. I mean, she was just so positive and just never had a negative word to say about anybody, always doing whatever she could to put a smile on people's faces. She was so animated, just a character. That's all I can say as far as to describe her. She was too good for this world, honestly, and she was a blessing from the day she came.
And, she has other siblings, so you have this big family.
Yes.
Daughters, and just how she fit perfectly into that puzzle and how they all fed off each other.
Well, all of my girls, I would have to describe them as eclectic because they're all different, but they're all similar. As far as similar is personality-wise, we are all jokesters. We love to just laugh and, have fun, but we're also very sarcastic with it. So Destiny and her sisters interacting, sometimes people might think that we're mean, but that's just the way we interact. For example, Essence is my book smart one, and Destiny is just my little goofball. And Destiny and Essence interacting, and you'll sit there and you'll listen to them, and then all of a sudden you'll just hear Essence say, "You know what? I can't talk to you anymore. I'm losing brain cells." So that's what we encountered on a daily basis, just them interacting with one another. They're just so different, but it's just like comedy consistently.
Yeah, it seemed like you're always laughing because and you shared several videos with me, and that's just a small sample size of what life was like with Destiny. I mean, she was always making you guys laugh, and she always had a big smile on her face, and she just seemed to not be the type to look at the world in this negative light. Like she's grateful to be alive.
Very optimistic.
Yeah,
she was always very optimistic. And when she was younger, I just thought that she was I don't want to call her naive, but a lot of times she didn't pay attention to what was going on around her. So if there's drama around her, she didn't acknowledge it because she just didn't want to see that part. She didn't
Mm-hmm.
want to see the negative. And I'm looking at her thinking she's just oblivious, and it wasn't that she was oblivious. She just chose not to look at it in
Mm-hmm.
that manner. And so when I finally realized that, it's one of those things like, dang, why can't I why can't I look at things like Destiny? Because where I'm looking at something like, oh my goodness, I only have this left. And she's like, no, Mom, you have all of this. And it's just
Mm-hmm.
like, but Destiny, she's like, no, Mom, you're just not looking at it, in the right aspect. So she was very optimistic. She had a way of showing people her optimism and getting them to look at it from her viewpoint.
Yeah. Just to balance things out. You can
Yes.
look at something glass half full or glass half empty. And
Yes,
she seems like glass half full type.
definitely.
23 years old, and I know she was working at Amazon at the
Yes.
time, and just finding her way, in her world and figuring out what she wanted to do, and just talk about her interests.
At that time, she was actually, her and my youngest daughter, Faith, they were looking for an apartment. They were planning on venturing out on their own. So they were actually looking for a place to live. And Destiny was also looking into going back to school.
Mm-hmm.
She wasn't sure what she wanted to do because she had so many interests. She could do hair and makeup, so she was looking at cosmetology. I noticed that she was very good as far as fashion wise. She could sew by hand and then she could draw by hand, design stuff. So I was trying to push her towards fashion, but she didn't have the opportunity to fully decide what she wanted to do, but that's where she was at. That's
Mm-hmm.
the point that she was at when she passed away.
And that's the beauty of it being that age, right? I mean, you remember it being 23 and like the whole world is available to you. Like it's okay if you change your mind 10 times and then 10 more times. Like it's fine. Like you'll
Yeah.
figure it out. That's the beauty of having, the ability to have a supportive family and friends and being able to just figure it out on your time and it's your own race and your own marathon,
Yes.
I should say.
And see, for me, it was a little different because I was a mother so
Yeah.
young. So I didn't have those choices at that age. So with my girls, I really wanted them to have that opportunity to focus
Mhm.
on what they wanted to do without having any responsibilities. So I was very proud of the paths that each one of them were on.
Now let's talk about July 17th, 2021. And this image sticks out for me because as looking into this case, investigating this case, I mean, there's surveillance video of really the last time she's seen
Yes.
out in public at your home, and she's leaving to get picked up by a ride share to go meet with her friends. And this is something she didn't do a lot. She just was naturally a homebody, right? Like
Yes.
she didn't go
Yes.
out and party.
No, no. I recall her going when she turned 21. We actually all went out together.
Mhm.
I was a designated driver, and then she took a trip to Vegas once. But outside of that, that just wasn't what she liked to do. She was, like I said, a homebody. She liked to be at home. So sh at the age of 21, they all like to drink, but she would do it at home.
Mhm.
So she'd go out, get something to drink, and be at home, and we'd watch movies, and I had 24/7 entertainment.
She just wasn't the type to be like, all right, I'm going out here
No,
tonight and tomorrow night. Like you didn't really have to worry about
no,
her
definitely
leaving.
not. No, she was a social butterfly,
To the
but she
point, did you
wasn't.
say like go I mean maybe on a date or something, or like did you have to encourage her?
Yeah, I did. Sometimes it's like, go do something, Like, why do you want to sit at home with your mom all the time? But that's just who she was. She was very social. She just wasn't a partier.
Mhm.
So she had no problem like hanging out with friends, but a lot of times friends would come hang out with her at the house.
Yeah.
Um, Her thing was they'd go out to eat. They go have lunch or go have dinner, but as far as party scene, that just wasn't her scene.
And that's a good point. I mean, to have siblings, you don't need to be out and with everybody with a big group of friends.
Definitely. And with my kids, I noticed when they were young, they would mistreat each other.
Mm,
So when they were younger, I didn't allow them to have outside company because of the fact that they didn't treat each other properly. My thing was, you're not going to treat somebody outside of this house better than you treat someone inside
yeah.
of the house. So for a few years, they didn't have outside company. So all they had was each other.
You're gonna
So,
get along somehow.
and there's four of them,
Yeah.
so it's always 2 and 2. So if these two don't get along, there's always a couple of other options that they have.
Yeah.
So they always had options.
There was ongoing feuds at an early age that you had to monitor.
Actually, I didn't. I did not. I was very blessed with my girls. I never had a lot of fights. Like I said, the only time I noticed anything was if they did have company and they might be mean to one of their siblings, and no, we're not doing that,
Mhm.
because my thing with them was, you shouldn't treat somebody outside the house better than you treat somebody in the house, because your family is your family. Your friend may move away tomorrow and you'll never see them again.
Yeah.
So, but your family's going to be your family, for an eternity. So that was just very important to me, to have that camaraderie with my children and them having it with one another. And from that, they've always been close.
So on this night, she was gonna go meet with a group of friends, but it just so happened that she ended up hanging out with one of them, Juan, who I got to meet
Yes.
through you, and revisit this place where this tragedy happened, near 16th Street and McDowell at Carambas in the parking lot. And we went through this extensively in our Aftermath series. So let's take a look at that snippet real quick. Destiny was here, the young woman described as a homebody, wrapped up her night with a friend at a club called Caramba, and it's the parking lot next to it where her life ended. Juan Polito was with Destiny that night. They were co-workers at Amazon. After leaving Carambas, they got in line outside at a food truck just before 3:30 in the morning. Destiny simply wanted a quesadilla.
I start counting the money to pay her, and I literally this is me just doing that. And when I did that, I heard the gunshots on my right. Like, there was multiple gunshots. People, like, whoever was out here was running. The food truck lady, everybody just started running. People got under their cars.
Juan knows he's lucky to be alive. What happened next is still traumatic.
When I start hearing the gunshots, all I feel her is just pull me from my shoulder, and I fall down with her. I fall down with her, and then I see her and just
Destiny was hit by a stray bullet. Bystanders tried to help as Juan called 911. Later that morning, as the investigation continued, he says he waited in the Phoenix PD Mobile Command Unit, hoping for a miracle.
I'm in there, and one of the officers walks in and says, she didn't make it. And I just lost everything. I was like, how do you say goodbye to someone that you don't want to say goodbye to? You know? How do you do that? Like, how do you do that?
And I remember that moment with Juan. So much time had passed from when everything happened to when I met him there. And you could feel that struggle for him to stand in that spot. And you were there too.
Yeah.
Just out of all the gunshots are fired into this crowd, and Destiny's the one who's hit. And does not appear to be any targeted attack. She never around this place, never goes out, and it's just the worst time,
Yeah.
the wrong place. And I think that's what people can relate to, is how that can be anyone.
Definitely. And that has actually, that's something that's really stuck with me. And I've had other people that I've met who, when you were just asking me about, go out sometimes. And I had a coworker, and she had a daughter named Esther.
Mm-hmm.
And her daughter was a homebody, and she was telling her daughter, you know what, you need to go out and live your life. And I told her, I said, you know what, let her be who she is. Because my daughter was the same way, and the one time she went somewhere, something happened. So if she wants to be home, let her be home. Don't
Yeah.
push her out.
And I think this comes from a time, right? This was still sort of the pandemic wasn't
Yes.
over, but people were going out at this time. It's 2021. And I think all of 2020, we have become so used to, all right, introverted and
Yes.
isolated, be with your families and maybe a small group of friends. So it's
Yes.
like this generation is not going out in the same manner. The way we communicate and way we socialize, it's very different after something like a global pandemic happened. So, I mean, kudos to her for wanting to go out just one night and just, something that she never really did a lot. But, for you, you had to be in such a panic trying to find out where she was because there was no answering the phone.
Yeah, that one, that was difficult because with my children, we all have the read receipts. So
Mm-hmm.
we can see when the other one reads our text messages. And my kids know that if you're with me, if you're staying with me and you're not coming home, I need to know that because I have anxiety and I will freak out. So for me to wake up and text her with no response back from her, I knew something wasn't right because my kids are very prompt about responding to me. So when I started texting her, initially I didn't worry. But after maybe 15 minutes of no response, and they all know how I am. It's 5 o'clock in the morning. I haven't heard from anybody. And then with my daughter Essen, she was very worried because she's the one that made me worry. Because initially she just asked me if I had spoken with her, and I told her yes, I spoke with her. And then, but she was still, I don't want to say she was in a panic, but she was close to it
Mm-hmm.
because we're very literal. And if we say we're going to do something, we're going to do it. And so when Destiny told her that she would forward her location when she got in the Uber and that never came, that's when Essence started worrying. So when I looked at my phone and looked at the location and it showed she was at a taco shop, I knew she went with friends. So in my mind, I thought, well, maybe they're having breakfast because I knew the circumstances of them going out that night. So I figured maybe they needed to speak, maybe just talk.
You could track her location, though.
Yes. And so when I looked at her location, it showed she was at a Mexican food spot. It didn't show like a taco stand. It just said Mexican food spot. So initially I just thought, okay, well, maybe they went to eat and she left her phone in the car because I assumed someone was bringing her home at this point because I'm seeing them at a Mexican food spot. And when I'm not getting any answer and not getting any response, after about 15 minutes, that's when I started getting worried. And that's when I decided, well, I have her location. I'm going to go track her phone.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when we all went to look for her.
And it's not like she doesn't stay out this late.
No.
This is, you talking about 5 in the morning,
Yes.
and there's no read receipt.
No.
It's just a delivered message. So you already know something is wrong, and as does your daughter. And
Yes.
so immediately you're like, okay, I'm gonna go drive there now. And that, I think, you're just driving there hoping that nothing is wrong. And
Yes.
maybe you'll see her literally at the restaurant eating or something with friends, and you can just breathe a sigh of relief.
My panic didn't set in until I got that uneasy feeling
Mm-hmm.
when I was about to exit the freeway. And when I got that uneasy feeling, that's when my mind just started going all over the place. Like something happened, what if this happened? What if?
There's so many things that you
Yeah.
can think of now.
And then when I pulled up and saw crime scene tape, that's when my heart just dropped. Because it just solidified what I was already feeling. Even though they didn't confirm it, I know my child.
Mm-hmm.
And I know, she knows me and she knows that I would worry, and to avoid me worrying, she would have reached out. So for her not to have any form of contact with me, I knew something wasn't right. And then when I got there and I saw the crime scene tape, then I knew.
But you're still not thinking that this was a shooting at that
No,
moment.
no. I felt like, well, I want to say I felt like a situation popped into my head. And that situation, it had to do with another individual. And that individual was arrested for attacking somebody. And when he attacked them, he had basically stabbed them to death. And that's what popped into my head. And the reason why it popped into my head was it was a date Destiny had gone on previously with somebody that she worked with. And something about the date didn't feel right to her. So she never communicated with him again. And several months later, we found out that that person was arrested for a homicide.
Oh, wow.
So for some reason, that's the thoughts that popped into my head when I was exiting.
That can make sense, is that somebody that she
Yes.
had been with before or had any sort of, meeting date with was upset or something.
So when that popped into my head, and then when I saw the crime scene tape, I started thinking about the circumstances. So I started thinking, like, for example, if someone tried something with Destiny, Destiny is gonna fight back. And so I was thinking, what if someone tried to attack her? What if somebody tried to have their way with her and she fought back and she was attacked, and, she was basically fighting for her life.
Mm-hmm.
So I did not know it was that it was gun violence. I didn't find that out until once I went into the mobile command unit with the detective, and that's when he told me that Destiny had been shot.
What is that moment like, trying to absorb that?
It was a lot of different feelings. One, as much as I hate to say, it was a feeling of relief, knowing that she wasn't attacked, like, physically, but trying to wrap my head around her being gone, that was a struggle. So it was just so many different emotions going, and it just wasn't making sense. And was I really hearing what he was telling me? Am I dreaming? So it was surreal. It was a surreal moment. But like I said, one of the feelings that I did feel was relief when he told me it was a gunshot. Because I would not be able to handle her physically being tortured,
Mm-hmm.
And that's what was going through my mind because of the situation.
Now, you've done a really good job at being vocal about her case and talking to different media outlets or different groups of people. But of course, in the moment, in that first 6 months to a year, I mean, I remember with coverage, there was a vigil, was a memorial, things like that. But it wasn't it wasn't easy to get you to speak out on camera and talk about it because of how much pain you were in. I mean, how did you get out of that, navigate that first year?
That first year was difficult. But the only credit I can give is to God. Because if it weren't for my faith in him, then I wouldn't be able to just get up every day. Because it's like he has shown me through the loss of Destiny what my purpose is. And my purpose and her purpose is, one, to just continue to help others. That's what she did when she was here on earth, and that's what she's going to continue to do in spirit through me.
There wasn't many leads.
No, there weren't many leads, which
It
is why I've
stalled.
been so vocal.
Yeah, I mean, why do you think that is? This public place, and I haven't seen any real surveillance video of what happened, or besides the one image we have of this car, this suspect vehicle. But that had to be so frustrating, and still frustrating that, when people ask about this case, are there any leads? Like, really, there's not a lot to provide.
Correct. And unfortunately, the footage doesn't give enough of a description of what we need. And that is one of the main reasons why I've been so vocal about my daughter's story, because people need to know that her story's still unsolved. And there are people that know what happened. Not just the individuals, because it was multiple individuals that were in that vehicle. One had to be the driver, and one had to be the shooter. And I'm sure that they didn't keep it amongst themselves. So I'm sure that there are other people that are out there that know the story. And I'm hoping to appeal to someone who knows the story that they'll come forward, because Destiny did not deserve this.
Yeah, it's an unknown 2015 newer model of a black or dark colored four-door sedan. And it's really vague, and you're right, the footage that we have is so grainy. You see the headlights, and
Yeah.
it's at nighttime on McDowell. It's really hard to make out. I mean, but like you said, somebody has to know something about this, or someone tied to this has heard about it. And there were so many people. I mean, a good crowd of people that night coming either out of the
Yes.
club, going to get food. Still, everything's happening fast in the moment. I'm sure very traumatizing. Anyone could have been hit. But yeah, again, not many leads, and you've been pushing for attention to this case.
Yes.
I saw some national coverage in the beginning because of just how tragic and devastating that is. Someone just ordering a quesadilla,
Yeah.
and it's being so young and beautiful and having so much life ahead of them. But I feel like something like this, there's other examples like this that need more attention, national attention.
Definitely. And that's one of the main reasons why I'm working towards becoming an advocate, so that I can advocate more for not only my daughter, but for other families. And I do have an advocate that I work with, Haley,
Mm-hmm.
and she comes up with amazing ideas as far as to try and help keep our stories out there, which is why I've done so many podcast interviews, to keep, the story not just here locally in Phoenix, but just, national attention. So that, because the people, it's been 4 years,
Mm-hmm.
they may not even be in the state anymore. So I just want to make sure that that coverage is reaching, individuals all over.
Yeah, it can because of social media
Yes.
and how podcasts are shared via social media platforms, that somebody in another country even can see this case.
And definitely, I've had people that have reached out, not only from when we did Aftermath, but also from a recent podcast that I did, The First Degree. I've had people reach out to me from various countries. So just knowing that, there's people in other countries that are praying for us and, praying for justice for Destiny. That means so much.
What has been the response been like from Phoenix PD as you try to get updates and answers?
Well, with Phoenix PD, I have the detective, and the detective has been very honest with me, so I have no problem getting updates. The problem is we just don't have any information, any, the leads that we need. So it is active. He is still working it actively. It's not considered a cold case at this point. They do still have leads that they're working on. It's just, there's not too much that they can give me. But as far as communication with me, I've had no issues with that. Anytime I reach out to the detective, he's very quick to respond.
So those leads haven't been fully exhausted yet?
No. There are still leads. There's just certain things that they're not bringing out in the public yet.
And how do you prepare for yourself for the potential possibility that it could be cold at some point, and you try to block that out?
No, I've already accepted that.
Mm-hmm.
That there is the chance that I may never get those get those answers, but I'm going to fight for justice till my last breath.
Yeah.
So it's not going to deter me from doing what I need to do to fight for justice for her. So I may not get those answers, but I'm not going to stop fighting.
What do you think is needed that would really push this case forward, give it some hope?
Honestly, to me, it's unconscionable that there are people that are walking around that know that they're responsible for this type of loss, and there's no accountability. I am hoping that someone very close to these individuals is willing to come forward, because there's no reason that they should be able to walk freely, taking away a person such as Destiny with no accountability. So for me, I pray that we get that closure, but I just, maybe family members, just letting them know, like, to come forward, because what if it was their family member? What if it was their loved one? How would they feel if someone took their loved one and they had no answers and no closure? How can we heal when we have no closure? We can't, yes, we've laid her to rest, but we still have unanswered questions, like why? And we may not know why, but who? And so that's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping that someone will, have the conscience to either come forward or convince the individual or individuals responsible to come forward.
So let's break down again what we know. This was the early morning hours of July 18th, 2021, outside Carambas in the
Correct.
parking lot. I want to say just after 3 in the morning this
Yes.
happened.
Yes.
It could have been dozens of people, could have been several people, but this is 16th Street and McDowell Road on a summer night. And literally, she and Juan, Destiny and Juan, were standing on the parking lot with other people, and a black or dark colored sedan drives by and just starts opening fire.
Open fire. And I'm sure people just, went in different directions. But for me, and what I still struggle with, is the fact that, so many people, because we're in that age of social media, and that so many people pulled out their cameras. So, to see footage on social media of my daughter that night, her body, that's still a struggle for me.
Being angry, of course, that people weren't helping and they were filming what happened.
Yeah, but it baffles me with so many cameras, that nobody caught that footage of that vehicle. So, and maybe it's just because trauma, maybe it's a trauma thing, and maybe eventually something will come forward, because a lot of times, people get traumatized and initially they don't remember things, and then down the road. So I'm praying that someone somewhere, comes out with some form of information to give us some type of closure.
Yeah, definitely, no closure right now. How do you, navigate day to day just to have peace of mind? How do you fight
That's
through
a
that?
struggle. That's a struggle. I mean, every day is different. I put on my smile, and, I try and just be my normal self, but it's an emotional roller coaster. For example, I'll be in tears on my way to work and just trying to, get myself together before I walk into the office with the good mornings, not wanting everybody to know that I cry, but it's a roller coaster of emotions, from day to day. I struggle daily. Sometimes I don't even want to get out of bed, but I got to do what I have to do. I've got to keep pushing for Destiny, because Destiny wouldn't want me to just break down and shut down. So everything that I do to honor her.
Do you feel like you have survivor's guilt at sometimes, thinking about her and not able to have her life, and you want to be fully healed and live a happy life, but it's almost like, do you ever kind of stop yourself?
Yeah.
You can't be too happy because I still have this to deal with. I need to get justice for my daughter. Why should I be?
Perfect example was my daughter's wedding.
Mm.
Because it's like I was happy, but there was a part of us missing. So it was a bittersweet, time then. So it's like I wanted to enjoy it, but how could I really enjoy it without Destiny there? So yeah, I do have that.
This was a recent one of your daughters?
It will be 2 years in
Okay.
December, but Brianna's wedding, when she got married, and when we went to Costa Rica, and she actually had a painting of Destiny in the wedding as a honorary maid of honor.
Wow. And so this wasn't too long after. I mean,
No.
from July 2021 to 2 years ago,
Correct.
2023. you're just thinking about her the whole time, I bet.
Yeah. Yeah. So it was a struggle. It was a beautiful day, but it was a hard day for all of us because it's like Brianna was my first child to get married, but then we were missing one. We were missing Destiny. So it was a bittersweet moment.
What have you learned about grief?
Grief comes in waves.
Yeah.
And it's an ever-changing thing. But you never get over it. You just find different ways to cope. So grief is something that never goes away. It just gets easier to cope with on a daily basis. But like I said, it's still a struggle because 4 years later, I still have my moments.
Well, as you said, this is exactly the truth. Someone knows something, no matter how small that little bit of information is, how small the tip is. Someone needs to come forward with what they have. It's been 4 years. If you have information or know someone who does, please call Silent Witness at 480-WITNESS. And remember, you can remain anonymous. There is a cash reward up to $2,000, I believe, via Silent Witness. That tip leads to an arrest. And really, silence at this point doesn't protect your family. It's only protecting the person behind this, the people accountable, anyone involved. That's what silence does. But Brenda, I mean, I admire you. I've told you many times I appreciate you for talking about this. I know it's been a long time, but you continue to push, stay strong, and advocate for your daughter. And I think, like any mom would, but I think the way you've done it, I think stands out. And you're wearing the green in her honor too, her favorite color.
Yes.
And I know that, she is very, very proud of you. So thank you.
And I hope to continue to make her proud.
All right. Remember, like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, and we will see you guys next time on The Record.